is Jason.
I'm John, and we made Simon.
The main requirements basically was to emulate the Simon game and having 4 buttons, each producing a different tone, and basically lighting up the 7-segment display digits in random order, and then players get to play. That's pretty much set up.
Are you guys familiar with how Simon works? Okay. So yeah, basically what we did is we had to take each of the 4 buttons and we mapped a digit on the 7-segment display. There's 4 digits. So we mapped a button to each digit, and then we're tied together for the whole game. So the requirement was get that and make each button have its own unique tone. And then around the game, basically it's going to pick a random button and play it. And then you have a chance, a certain amount of time, to play the same button back. If you don't play it back within the allotted time, or you play the wrong button, the game's over. If you do successfully do that, then the next round starts and it adds another button, and then you have to play 2. So it kind of builds a pattern up, round by round, adding a button as you go. So to meet those requirements, or those rules for the game, we had a couple additional requirements. The trickiest one was making a good random number generator. This was a little different because normally you'd want to use a system clock or something like that to seed the generator, but we don't have that on the board. So that was a challenge to get. And then we also wanted to make sure there's no hard limit for the sequence. We didn't want to have like an upper limit that said you can only have like 20 or like 100. Even though you're probably not going to get to 100 in a row, just like on principle, you don't really want to have that.
And for LCD interface, we just had we displayed the status of the game, and then also like the menu before playing the game itself. Some of the stuff we did was like the number of buttons to use. Usually it's 4, but we had 2, 3, or 4. One would be kind of pointless. And the difficulty modes, basically like the speed of the game. And also the number of buttons added after each round.
Right, so these were just kind of settings we added so we can kind of spice up the game, I guess. Yeah, the difficulty modes, basically that means it's how long you have to input each like step in the sequence when you're doing it. So if you like draw a blank, you're not sure what to do. If you're on fast, you're not going to have very much time. If you're on slow, you're going to have a couple seconds. So this is our basic hardware block diagram. We just had the speaker using the PMOD and the LCD, and if we go to the slide.
The synthesized
hardware.
hardware.
So this is like the synthesized hardware from...
Everything's basically attached to the GPIO.
Yeah.
So first row. So we just had when the player starts playing, you have an option to either start playing right away or go to the settings and change the settings and then play. And then it will generate the random button, and then that'll be sent to the user, and then get the user input, and then we will check the user input, and then if you get it right, get the sequence right, this will repeat itself, and then the game goes on. And if you don't get it right, then there's a game over menu where you could either start the game over again or quit, basically.
So these are the basic like functions and design, kind of modular design we had. We had the timer interrupt, which we used to time the user input and to produce the different notes, using a sine wave. And then the LCD interface, we reused some code from previous projects to interface with LCD. We did have to make some changes so we could write to both lines individually, so the top line or the bottom line. In the 7-segment display, we had to interface with that. The random number generator, I guess it was a little tricky. We researched that for a little bit, and we ended up settling on like a pseudo random number generator. Basically what happens is for any given seed, it's going to generate a pattern that's the same every time, but depending on where you start in the pattern, it's going to be effectively random, because the pattern just goes on forever. So we just had a couple different seed values, and then it would burn off a certain number of random values from that pattern before it started. So every time you wouldn't be able to recognize what was going on.
worked on the debounce, kind of like from the previous projects. Also, we worked on already used, and then we made the menu handler for the settings, and then keeping the sequence and checking it, basically.
Initially, we did have a hard limit for like keeping the sequence. We just used an array and just kept checking the numbers. But we went back through and changed that so it was dynamic, and we just got it. Did some tricky stuff with the random number generator to be able to just have it dynamic. Okay, so we completed the project. Basically, we just would test each of those kind of modular functions that we set on the previous slide. After we completed it, we tested, made sure everything was working how we thought. And then at the end, we made some of the changes, like I was saying, removing the hard limit. We made the menu handler so that way we could eliminate a lot of repeated code for traversing through settings menus and stuff like that. Any questions? Okay.
So this is already on the startup menu, where we use button 3 and 2 to basically using it as a left and right, so you could scroll through start or go to the settings like that, either direction. So if you start, it will start right away with the default settings like we had. Alright, I'll just start it right away. And then basically the LED would tell us when to go. And just add on to it, and then to
then show what happens when it fails.
so when you get the pattern wrong, then it'll go to the end of game menu, and then it'll prompt if you want to play again or quit. So if you play again, it
Yeah, you double tap it.
whoops. Alright.
Okay.
And then going through the settings, you could change multiple settings at the same time. So I wanted to change game speed first to fast, and then let's say number of buttons, just only using 3 buttons. Number of buttons, game mode, what's it, game speed, game mode, and have 3 patterns added each round, and then go back and start, so it will display 3 first.
Ready to get out the second round.
And then you'll add on 3 more. So basically, so this is basically how it works. Anyone wants to try it? No?
So watch just have it time out, like when you.
So if you don't press it like in time, in between buttons, your game will be over.
Yeah, since you changed it to fast speed, it timed out almost immediately without you pressing a button. But if you put it to slow, you have like 3 or 4 seconds. So
So it's going to be an app?
was that?
It's going to be an app?
Oh.
There's an app for that.
Yeah.
No one's playing.
No.
No, it is. Yeah.
Alright.
It's on them.
Okay.
Well,
Let's turn it off.
Alright.
thank you very much.